First up, approval of the minutes. Anybody have any comments or changes or?
Oh, I have a whole bunch on the minutes.
All right.
The one for September 9th was perfectly fine for the executive session. I was fine with that. On the ones of our August 20th meeting, under acceptance of minutes from July 16th meeting, Joe Androsco's name is spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
Then on page 3, item number 6, it should read first cut at the new budget from Joe Androsco, not for. And then I want to change the first like in to Mr. instead of Joe, to keep it going with the way all of our other minutes have been done, with just like last names. And then on page 4, on item number C, I want a comma after assignments before if any. And that's all I saw.
Oh, gotcha, on the headline. All right. Anybody else?
Do we want to strike the any before committee assignments? So then it would be update on committee assignments, comma, if any.
Oh, I get you're saying because we doubled the word Annie.
Yes.
That makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me too.
Yeah. All right, anybody else? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Rayanne, as amended, any second?
I second. Darius.
Darius seconds. Approved. Any nays, abstentions? All right, cool. Hearing none, that's approved. All right, public comments. Anybody? Wait.
No, I think they would have had to get in touch with me, who would have had to send on the email.
the invite.
I have none, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we do have someone from the public dialed in via phone. The person dialing in, if you want to speak, please raise your hand electronically now. I believe it's *6 on your phone or *7. I forget which one it is.
Yeah. If you join, just need your name and your address.
Yes, thank you. No, I don't see anyone raising their hand.
I see a phone number that came up. They're still on mute though.
Oh, yeah.
It could be Carl just trying to spy on me, make sure I'm doing a good job. A lot of pressure here. I'm giving another 20 seconds or so. It could be just.
Yeah, I know Carl's number because we talk all the time. That's not him, I don't think.
All right.
Yeah, they're not raising their hand, so.
All right, cool. Moving on to updates. Mark, how much money do we have?
We're doing all right now. We're doing all right. I'll just start with a couple of general notes. I think everyone's already aware from last week, but the fiscal year 2021 budget was approved and sent on to the city of Norwalk. We've also put together the budget by month since then, which is now worked into the August financial package, which was sent out earlier today.
Real quick, just while we're on this, did we figure out whether we could amend the vote? I know there was some back and forth, whether we could amend Denise's vote. I mean, I was fine with it, but I just don't know what there's nothing in the bylaws that said one way or the other.
I don't know. I'm not, I don't know about those type of rules.
All right.
I believe we would need to have the vote over again.
All right.
I think after it's closed, there can be no changes.
Oh, yeah, I think you're on mute, Denise. I think you're on mute.
Is that better?
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Okay. I thought that Carl, since he was the chairman, had to be the person to bring that up as a, you know, but to bring it up and then say who is in agreement of doing it and not doing it. So I guess since he's not here, I don't know if it can be done.
Yeah, I know like a city committee, the chairman can choose not to move it, even if it's voted. And they could also choose to move it. I don't know of like an authority like this. If you're cool with waiting, I'll just wait for Carl. I don't know the answer, so I don't.
Yeah, I just as soon wait so we do it the right way.
Yeah.
It's fine with
Yeah.
me.
That's all I need. Screw up my first meeting. All right, go ahead. Keep going, Mark.
You're doing
now
swell,
that-
both of you.
Now that the budget is done and the August financials are closed, my focus and priority in the next couple of weeks would be the audit. So we're a little bit behind on that, more than a little bit, but excuse me, I really do have pretty much the next 9 or 10 business days. I can really focus on that. So that can really move along. Lastly, excuse me. Lastly, our line of credit with the bank will be up for renewal in November. Joe, I'll be talking to you about that. You may have to sign some paperwork. We've already met the zero balance for 30-day rule, so we're in good standing. And for those who don't know what that means, just the line of credit runs from November to November. And during that period, once you draw down or borrow from the line of credit, you have to repay it down to zero for a minimum of 30 days before you can renew. So we paid down the final balance just before the middle of July. So
You
it's
guys
already
need you're gonna have to go out that door around to the restaurant.
already been 60 days, and we will not be borrowing in the next 2 months. So we are we'll be good to renew. Will be no problem.
Awesome.
As for the year-to-date numbers, which is just the 2 months, July and August, I'm sure everyone read the financial package front to back. A
Business.
dashboard that we mentioned a couple months ago that Joe really had a good idea of kind of putting it in as he says, a one-stop shopping, and it's now in there as the first page of the package. Kind of replaced that commentary that I used to have, but there's still commentary on the side and so forth. And the plan is I think over the next coming months, especially if there's any feedback, we'll probably be adding in some cash forecasting and tweaking it as we go. So for the financials, I just got a couple of quick things. Cash is up $270,000 over August of 2019. But with the winter months approaching and our debt repayments to the city now active, our cash balance will probably begin depleting by next month, sometime in October. We'll see it start going down below 300 and so forth, and then continuing on until December, January, February. And that, of course, depending on what we do in regard to season passes, as well as when we start selling ID cards, the timing of that, if we get that January, February timeframe, which I think we pretty much plan on doing, that can be a huge influx, which would probably cause us to not have to borrow into the line at all, but we'll see. Revenue rounds for the month are up 8% over budget and 19% over last year. Cart rounds also are up 24% over budget and 25% over last year being July, August of 2019. And golf revenue for the first 2 months of the fiscal year is 9% over budget, 25% over prior year. So again, same message we've been saying, things are looking good. We have been doing great business, mostly, or at least I shouldn't say mostly, because mostly is due to our awesome staff, but I do think COVID has had an impact. And when things go back to normal, if they do, we might see a little bit downtrend coming up. So we're going to sock away that money as much as we can, and really try to get back to where we were 3, 4, or 5 years ago, and not having to dip into that line of credit.
Awesome.
Yeah. Last little bit is just on the 2 months for expenses. They are up a little bit less than 3% over budget, mainly due to payroll expenses. However, expenses are down compared to prior year in almost every category as part of our effort to build up enough cash reserves to get through the winter. The most notable expense reductions are and will continue to be in labor and park maintenance areas. And just note that all minimum wage employees were increased to $12 per hour per state law as of September 1st. So we are good for the next 11 months when August 1st of 2021, everyone will be making $13 and up. Anybody have any questions?
Can I ask a question? With regards to our revenue income, did we, has the check gone to City of Norwalk for August?
Yep. So I sent the first check on for July in probably about August 10th, and then a little bit earlier this month, I got the numbers out pretty quickly and sent that check off, I don't know, by like the 5th or whatever it was. So, and it was a little bit less. Our rounds were similar. I think last month it was 6,500 rounds. This month was a little bit over 6,000. So the check was somewhere around 12,400 or something like that.
Okay.
So Mark, where does that show on the summary here? What is it wrapped up into? Anything?
It's not a P&L item. It's just a reduction of our debt on a balance sheet. So you can follow along on the balance sheet. And if people want, and this is where I'd appreciate any feedback, if you want to see like a little ticker, a little checklist of the amount going down, we can always add that in here. But just keep in mind that it's still a $2.1 million debt that would be paid off over the next 20 to 25 years. So the monthly amounts, even though it's somewhat significant to us, it's really just a tiny little pebble in the pond.
I was looking at that too, and I saw that July's payment was on there, and that I didn't see August, but that's probably because August hadn't been paid yet. It was paid in September.
We're always going to be a month in arrears,
Right,
and it's not a P&L item, so there's no accrual or anything like that. Yeah.
So as long as, every income statement has, or whatever, all the P&Ls and the balance sheet and whatever has the latest payment on there, I don't know. I think that's enough.
If you look, actually, if you look at the, I put it at the end this time, but I have the
Chargeable rounds.
the sales report, which shows all the rounds. At the very bottom of that page, I put it on the City of Norwalk debt pay down, and I put the exact amount. So here it's 12,414. So it's right on. It's the second to last and last pages of my package, my financial package.
Okay.
Anybody else? We're good.
Okay.
Jerry, you are up next with the update on supporters.
Well, actually, we didn't have a meeting this month, so I don't have an update.
All right. Short and sweet. Paul, keeping up the great work. I think you're still on mute, Paul. You got to unmute, Paul. Gotcha.
Can I actually ask Jerry something?
Can you hear me now?
So Jerry, we saw the thing in the newspaper about how some people.
He went on mute.
What's that? Can you hear me?
Hello? Oh, you hear me?
Yeah, now we do. Yep.
Oh, Jerry, I was wondering what you've heard about some of these issues because the season passed. Some people are saying they weren't able to book good enough tee times and so forth. Is that something you've noticed has been an issue on your side, or it's not that big of a deal from what you can tell?
No, I know there's been conversations with people, with Carl, because I play golf with him every week. And that's the only place I've heard it. Nobody's come to me directly.
I get all those phone calls.
Yeah.
And emails.
Oh, Paul, you get those?
Sure.
Yeah.
So how bad is it, buddy? You know, Jim mentioned the thing in the newspaper, something on Nancy on Norwalk. Is that something I know the season pass was something we were gonna work on, but how big of an issue do you think it's been?
Well, I think it was definitely needed for Oak Hills for we could open in March or April.
No, no, I get that part. It wasn't
Yeah,
the
we had
perfect
people-
solution.
You know, it was
But
really
do you think that
only one or two people who complained enough to feel like they had to write it into the paper. And I understand. I can sympathize with the people because even Rianne, you know, she plays a lot of golf here, and she gets on, tries to get online at 5 in the morning, and the first tee time she gets is 7. So I think it's a good thing. I just think we really got to go about it a different way if we choose to do it in 2021.
Paul, you said it wrong because I go on at 5 o'clock and the earliest tee times I've gotten was like noon.
Yeah, 7 hours later. So the fact is that the people get a full week to book at their leisure, and they're definitely taking some of the times. And you know, one person can get a tee time, and then they have 3 other people can join them. So 10 annual pass holders can take 40 tee times really, or 40 spots. But I think if we think about it this winter and tighten it up a little bit, we can make everybody happy.
No, I think I talked to Rianne about it too. You know, there's, and we don't need to discuss it. I'll just say, you know, it's straight up, if you raise prices, it kills demand. So if we can raise prices 30%, we won't sell as many. There'll be more tee times available.
Yeah.
So that's one quick solution, but let's keep going. That's good
And
enough
the
for
7
me for
days
now.
was that probably a little too much. You know, some people are 7 days, other people at 14. That was.
Yeah, it was too much of a benefit, right? So it's something we can charge even more for. That's what I'm saying. It's just, it was a good thing. We can do it again. We just need to adjust it. All right, we can go on.
So, you know, I would say golf's really doing well here. Very strong. It's incredible. I walk in the golf shop and you just see green on our tee sheet. It's just packed with people. We had a little downplay only because I think people were traveling. They weren't flying, but they were definitely getting in their car and driving, you know, within 5, 6, 7 hours from here. And I could even see that in my lesson book, and I see that every year. So that's usually happens, but definitely really strong. I think it'll continue to go on for a few weeks to come. Maybe when the weather gets too cold, people will stop playing a little bit. But yeah, things have been pretty organized. Days are definitely getting a little shorter. We've finished up some of our tournaments. The men's club championship is over. Bobby Trimboli, who plays a lot of golf here with his brother, and he won again. He was the defending champ. Our ladies club champ was Marianne Capiello, and I think she's in her 80s. She probably won for her 5th time. Our senior club championship is in the semifinals. That will be completed in the next week or two. Our Governor Cup is in the finals. That'll probably be completed another week or two. This Sunday, we're starting our 2nd annual junior club championship. Last year we had 40 kids. This year we're going to have about another 40 at least. And those kids play 18 holes, 9 holes, or 6 holes. Then we have a little function to get together for them afterwards. We're also doing our first Alfred Tull event. And for those who don't know, Alfred Tull is a very well-known architect, and we're really lucky to have him design Oak Hills for us. So we're going to, this event kind of showcases the course how he intended it to play, which is everybody went off 7 in 1969, and they finished on the 6th hole. And that's why the cart barn, I believe, is by number 6. But I was told by someone who worked here in 1969 that once the halfway house went in, they picked kind of the ideal spot for the halfway house. And also water and waste had to flow downhill, and they put it up there by 9 and 10, which is a good spot for it, but then they had to change the rotation of the golf course. So we're going to try that, and it's kind of an informal event. We're just going to see how people like the original rotation. And we're going to start another event this year, which I've been wanting to do for years. And I think we'll get some people. I think next year it'll be a lot bigger, but we're calling it the Norwalk City Amateur. And I've always wanted to do it to see who the best players are in Fairfield County. It's open to all Fairfield County residents. And I also think that since Jim's been here, I think 8 years, it's, you know, we owe it to Jim to have showcase his golf course. And a lot of people think we have some of the best public greens around, and a lot of people believe we have some of the best greens around, period, comparative to a lot of the private clubs. So I think when they come and play, you know, the course will be in great shape that time of year. That's probably I think it's the week before we do aeration, which is maybe the 12th or 13th. And so it'll be a good event. And hopefully next year we can turn it into a big deal and really get it on the news in Norwalk. And the Connecticut State Golf Association said they might put it in our schedule. And it'll just help really showcase Oak Hills. And years ago, I played a lot of amateur events like that where I would just travel around the state and play 2-day events. And it's kind of strange how no one's really done that here. So maybe a couple people have, but we'll be right up there as leaders of that. I would say our cart situation, we kind of started a new policy where we're going to start, and this was with Carl's okay, that we're going to start charging some people an additional $9 if they want to take a cart by themselves. And I've already fielded a lot of phone calls and emails, and there's some angry people, but I previously told them that, we're really trying to stop some of the younger people from taking advantage of this. And we're definitely going to take care of the older people who are, 70 up, 75 and up, who COVID is a little more serious to them. So I think, we're not out to make any money out of this. We're just trying to get carts for everybody who plays golf here. So we've had some people who won't play if we don't have a golf cart, and they've actually left. So, but I told a lot of people on the staff here knows it, that if we can use our discretion, and we'll accommodate a lot of the older people, anybody with health issues, or someone who's just fairly upset about the decision. Also, we have 2 new young guys going to start working in our golf shop. I've always wanted to, get a PGA professional in here with me, and Eddie was here for years. He always wanted one, but I have 2 young guys who are both good golfers. They're 22. They know the game of golf, and I think they really want to get in the golf business. So this could be a great addition to our staff without really costing us much more money. And all they really did was take some of the hours that other people were willing to give up because they were going to college or had other things going on in their life. So that'll be pretty good. Real interesting enough, too, next year we start the year with brand new golf carts. And these carts are pretty incredible by Club Car. I think they pretty much have about 80% of the market. Sales rep's really good guy. And the good news about that is we're getting lithium batteries. They don't have to be watered. That'll save the club some money. And also they can go 54 holes without a charge. So right now we're barely getting through 36 holes, and that's because some of our batteries are a little old. But and the good news is we're going to get a new lease with carts, and it's not cost us any extra money. It's about the same price as 2020. And then one other thing I'm trying to do, which I think will be really good for Norwalk, is I gave a group lesson, and they were all real good, athletic, young black guys from all over the place. And I told them I really want to do something for a lot of these disadvantaged kids, because I drove through that neighborhood a lot. And I was a privileged kid, so I want to do something, help grow the game, and get some of the kids who have a difficulty coming playing golf. So we're going to start something with the Carver Center down in Norwalk, and it'll be, free for some of the kids, and hopefully I can give them some golf clubs to go home with and give them some free lessons. And I think, I guess that's about it. Everything's going pretty good, though.
Cool. Anybody have any questions for Paul?
Paul, I have a question. You said that there was a $9 surcharge for a solo cart?
Mm-hmm.
There's the email that went out that said $27.
Well,
Yeah, the pop-up on the website says 27 as well.
Yeah, so a cart is 18, and I guess the $9 additional would be 20.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I really do think it's going to be a big deterrent for a lot of people. And then there are people who are going to say, I'll pay 27. But
I have a question regarding the carts, because I had a lot of people text and email me yesterday regarding this when they got the email. Now, suppose we have a foursome, okay, and 3 people are going to walk, and one person wants to take a cart. Does that single person pay 27, or would it be 18 since everybody else is walking?
yeah, I think it's 18 there.
Okay,
He has no choice, so we wouldn't want to penalize him, and we really don't want to penalize anybody. And I've told a couple people, it's really only the hours between 11:30 and 1 where, we send out 68 carts, and they're all out on the golf course and people start showing up.
Yeah, because as I said, I mean, I had like probably 50 people like either text or email me yesterday with that question. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'd wish if we had done this, maybe we should have done it a month ago. And since we didn't, maybe we let it go because the season's kind of coming to the end, but we're not going to get anybody upset. We're just trying to, and all we really need is a couple extra cards, 3 or 4.
So are we, I was going to ask you about that. Is that possible for next year, or are we getting the same number?
Our cart manager has been here a long time, and he doesn't think we need any more than 68. Neither does the sales rep. And if we did get more, it would make our lease go up. So I don't think we need it any more than 68.
I'll just comment a little bit too. I was in part of that meeting as well with the carts, and I agree with Paul and Al, who Paul was just talking about. And I just want to stress again that I think this is it's going to be a really good deal. Again, the pricing, I think it came out to like $100 more per month for 6 months. So less than $1,000 increase for the entire year. It's a 5-year lease, and these lithium batteries are fully warranted for the entire life, the 5 years. So the costs should be very minimal. It's basically the same exact carts that we have now with the same GPS and all the software on it. So it's basically the same, but all brand new with these brand new lithium batteries. So like Paul was just saying, I think, you know, sending them out over and over again, especially in the first couple of years, will be pretty easy to do. So
Yeah, and typically when you get a new fleet, you raise it $1.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Might be some extra income there.
Yeah. Hi, Nancy.
And
Anybody?
a couple other things I didn't mention, but they're not that big. But we did get about 36 new staff shirts. So we got everybody working here wearing the same shirt, so everyone can see who's an employee. Maybe one day we go to name tags. We have some new radios coming. We had 5 that weren't working well, and they're really imperative to our operation. We're gonna have 6 more, and we'll have a total of 11. And also, we have some really good new signage at the club, letting everyone know about COVID, and also cart return, and some, you know, professional looking signs. And some are temporary, and then some are permanent. And they didn't really cost us that much either.
Very good. Anything else for Paul? Or are we ready to move on to Jim? Jim? Unmute.
Unmuted.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
You.
So here we are in the fall. This is when we start to slow things down a little bit. I don't know if everyone has heard, but my crew has gotten a little bit smaller. We don't really need to talk about that, but what we do need to talk about is the fact that I have had an ad in Indeed, Craigslist, et cetera, for a couple weeks now, and I cannot seem to find anybody that wants to come here and just be on the crew. I don't know. I don't think that the unemployment benefits are greater than what our starting pay is right now, which is probably about $12 if it was for somebody with no experience, but which is what minimum wage is. But I don't know if anybody has any leads on some people that might work out on the golf course, please let me know. Otherwise, on the golf course, we're doing really well. The greens are great. The fairways are looking good. We did suffer a pretty devastating disease outbreak in the roughs immediately surrounding the greens. It's Pyricularia grigia in Latin, otherwise known as gray leaf spot. And it's something that we get where we have a lot of traffic. We have a lot of sunlight, and it's very compacted soil. So immediately surrounding the greens, we have people walking. We have our equipment turning around, cutting the green. We have them turning around right there next to the green. Of course, that's going to do some unseen damage until we get gray leaf spot. Because of the year, because it's 2020, of course, we weren't able to treat. The last couple of years, I've been treating for prevention of this disease, but because of staffing levels, we just couldn't fit it in the heat of the season. And of course, we ended up with it, and it hit us pretty hard. If you look at, the back of 2, the back of 6, areas around 10, 11, 14 is especially bad. 11 is really bad. 16, 18 had a little bit. 15's got some. It's pretty devastating. I mean, we have bald spots. We have spots with no grass immediately off the green. And, if anybody's ever missed a green, if anybody's ever hit a green and rolled off, that's where your ball is, right on that bald spot. And it's pretty devastating. We've already done 2 aerifications and overseedings, and the first one did well. I just felt like it wasn't enough. So today we did a second one, and we'll keep doing it until we feel like we're satisfied. I did treat as we get into the fall here, I get a little extra time because I don't have to spend so much time watering. So I was able to treat on Monday to prevent any more damage from happening. And that should be the end of that disease for the year, but it was too late. It got us. So we're taking the steps to get that back, and hopefully, it's not going to deter people from coming back here. Finally, some seeding projects that we had started are underway and or completed. We have a couple more to do. We've done the left side of 16. That's nicely seeded and mulched with some hay. We have done some spots on 4. And we're going to peck away at these spots as much as we can until the leaves start falling so fast that we can't keep up. So, speaking of leaves, that season is coming, but it's interesting that as the tropical storm went through Isaias a few weeks ago, we lost, or more than a few weeks ago, but we lost a number of trees. And the salt air came through and is doing damage to our trees. There's a ton of leaves that are falling right now that ordinarily wouldn't be. They got singed by the salt air, and very simply, they're falling. Next year will be the telltale year on what trees made it, what trees didn't. So we'll see on that. We do have aeration scheduled for October 13th and 14th, which are the 2 days immediately following the outing that we have on October 12th. And it should take 2 days. Hopefully the weather doesn't push us to the 15th, 16th, because that would be Thursday and Friday. That's never fun for golfers to come out and expect golf and not find it. And also, one last issue. I don't know how we're going to handle this. Mark, I don't know if you had talked to anybody at the minutes taking service to see if we could expedite the vote on this equipment purchase.
I'll send a note to Cheryl first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay. We're just the later we get on this vote, the greater the chances are that we have to pay next year's prices. If we don't take delivery of the equipment by November 1st, it is possible that we're going to have to pay next year's prices, which could jack it up a couple $1,000s, which we really just don't need right now.
And I was following that email thread, but just to clarify, so we just need a separate meeting to go and vote on this to approve it? Is that what's happening, or could be just a standalone special meeting?
We could even get an email chain with 5 authority members agreeing or saying yes to the purchase of the equipment.
Well, we can vote right now as well.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, can we make an amendment, or did it have to be?
But
I don't know.
Jim,
We can't because it wasn't on the posted, agenda. I don't know how I don't know.
I don't think that.
And Carl might get upset.
Hey, look, I'm in charge.
Jim,
I'm fine with doing a vote right now. I mean, does everybody know about it? I mean,
No,
I guess we could just amend the agenda.
what equipment are we looking to purchase? I have no idea what we're talking about right now.
Okay, so it's all Toro equipment. Okay, one of the pieces is an aerator. The one we have is a 2007 model, and the longer we go with that, the more we're taking the chance we're not going to get through a major aeration. And only having one that's 13, 14 years old. It's starting to get risky just because equipment goes down once in a while. So we get that new one, and that eliminates 2 problems. That eliminates the chance of us breaking down during a major aeration. And it also allows us to vent the greens through the summer, which is a process where we make tiny holes that golfers hardly even notice. The ball roll does not change a bit, and it helps the greens tremendously through the heat of the season. Another piece of equipment that we're going to get is a Sidewinder small area rough mower. We have an older one I think it's a 2005. It's on life support right now. We replace a part on it every week. We lose time because it has to sit out for, I don't know, it goes on the 1-day disabled list every week. And
so
yeah, go ahead.
My question is, what are the quotes on the equipment that you would like authorized?
Dang it! You know what? I didn't have that in front of me. I do have it in emails.
You know what though? What I'm thinking, I didn't realize that everybody wasn't on that thread. I guess it was maybe just me, Joe, and Carl. So why don't we probably should not vote on it because everybody hasn't looked at it. Maybe you circulate that around. Right.
Well, either way, we need to distribute this information and get an authority vote so that I can get it in and have the equipment on order, which means we can get it before the price increase. I mean, the third part of the equipment is irrigation upgrade, meaning our clocks, they're 20 years old. Some of the buttons are not working any longer, and it's very difficult to operate manually if needed, which happens frequently. And it also includes a software update on the central computer, which enables me to really dial in what is getting watered every night, which also enables us to save money on water.
If it matters, I just took a look at my email, and
so those are the 3 main pieces of equipment that we're going after.
And the total amount comes out to a little bit over $76,000 and is right in line with our commercial debt budget and plan. So timing wise and dollar amount wise, this was all planned for.
How long is the lease for? Is this
5-year financing plan. 5 years.
5 years?
Yep.
All right, so we'll get the ball rolling on that fast. We got to get the stuff that we already have. I guess Joe, we'll get Carl to send it out, and whether we do it via a quick meeting or email is probably the best. I mean, barring anything, I think we should.
I think
we already agreed to accepting it being done via meeting. So sorry, via email. So it'll be fine. we'll just get it done tomorrow, maybe.
Yep. Darius, you have
All
something?
right.
No, I just was inquiring about the amount, or if there was anything, a maximum in our bylaws that would constitute a special meeting, but I think we could talk offline about that.
Is there any other questions or comments?
Doing a great job, Jim.
So
Thanks,
it's
man.
around a monthly payment of around $1,300 or something like that?
It's actually going to be six months on, 6 months off, and so double the amount.
Okay. Right, so you're looking at like 2,600 or no?
Yeah, I think it came out. Well, don't forget, there's going to be some financing involved in there as well.
Right.
I thought it was something. It was either $2,600 or $2,800, maybe $2,850 or something like that a month.
I think Jim is going to
fine.
send out all the particulars of everything.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Jim.
All right.
Audrey, welcome. We're gonna have Audrey address the Nature Committee update.
Yes, hi everyone. Many of you I know already. Mark and Darius serve on the Oak Hills Park Nature Advisory Committee, so I see them often. And the Crowleys were part of this, the initiation of this committee way back, going about 5 years, I think. Thank you very much for allowing me to attend your meeting. And it's been an interesting meeting. I feel sometimes like our committee is a little disconnected from OPA in some ways. So this is very nice to be part of the meeting tonight. I wanted to just update you on some of the things that we've got going right now in the nature area of the park. It's a beautiful golf course, and love the way Jim and the grounds crew and the horticulture crew maintain the course. It's very natural. Having just visited Woodway Country Club on last Thursday, it's just so monoculture, and our park is just so lovely and natural. So I'm just really thrilled about that. We have a kiosk coming soon, which will make the nature area look more like a nature center. So we may need some help with installation on that. Obviously, many of the events that we tend to hold, we've had bird watching trail walks and winter trail walks. We've always participated in National Trails Day, for instance, which is annual. We've had to curtail a lot of that, of course, because of the pandemic. I'd like to know at some point, I don't need to know tonight, when we might start gathering, whether we might be able to host some level of events with reservation, where we know it's outside, so it can be socially distanced. So that's something we've been talking about doing in conjunction with the park's protocol, of course. And then according to the master plan, the last piece of the master plan in that nature area is the installation of a meadow in the Great Lawn. The Great Lawn is when you've got your back to the clubhouse, on the right is a flat oval walking path with a lawn. And on the far end towards the woods, what was envisioned is a meadow area where the walkway actually goes in and out of meadow. And that is to support the pollinators, the wildlife that we need here, that we're losing. And I had a little bit of conversation with Jim on that. It's actually the right time of year to start establishing that. And the library, I don't know if you know, but Norwalk Library has an exceptional series on the natural world with local sort of regional experts. And every single webinar that they've held has focused in some way on the importance of meadows. And they help clean the air, of course, even more than turf, than grass. They can be planted in existing lawn. So Jim will want to know this. I've met with a couple of experts to look at the least invasive, simplest, the least expensive least laborious way to establish the meadows. And I'd love to meet with Jim on that. They require minimal maintenance, but there is some periodic work that needs to go into that. So that actually is the last piece of the master plan from 2016. And I'd just like to start moving forward with that. The Great Lawn has sat there now for about 4 years. And according to some experts, it's around the right time to start establishing a meadow. These nature areas give a great cachet, I think, to Oak Hills Park. It's unique. It's a gem. It kind of puts us on a map in many ways that I'd like to capitalize on. I think there are some fundraising opportunities through the supporters that I would like to discuss more fully. And in some ways, I'd like to see this committee be in more partnership with OPA. I feel like we've been kind of, an ad hoc committee. We've done an awful lot to try to establish and promote this part of the park. And I think there's a lot more that would bring more people into the park. They'd get more familiar with the golf course and the tennis center, the restaurant. It's all good. So I'm just not sure. I guess what I'd like is for the authority to stay in touch with me and the committee on who's the point person or persons to be in more dialogue, I think. If we can't establish the meadow this year, we could go into spring, but we kind of start losing a planting plan that is sort of current thinking. Yeah, current practices.
Audrey?
Yes, Jim.
Hi. I did let you know that I would flag off the back, and I have in fact stopped cutting. I wasn't sure if you guys had done anything yet.
You need to keep cutting, actually. So that's why we're going to meet. You actually keep cutting.
Okay.
So that's
right,
how minimally invasive it is.
So when is it next season that we stop cutting? Is it past the winter that we stop? We need to meet on this. So
yeah. There's a
send me an
planting
email.
plan. Yeah, there's a best-selling book called Lawns into Meadows, which gave me a lot of hope because you can plant directly into the existing lawn. To me, I thought Jim Shell's gonna bow down and thank his lucky stars. We want this to be easeful. It does require some attention, but it's pretty minimal all in all. I think through the supporters, we're gonna need some materials. Again, it's very inexpensive materials, but we can't do it alone. I guess what I'm saying is as a committee, all constituencies can come together, I think, on this. And that's what I'm just saying. I think we've reached a point where we can all work together. I think there are volunteers throughout the city that would be available to help. We used to have the Boy Scouts. They established the trail that goes to the woodlands, but the Boy Scouts don't seem to be quite as involved in this right now. We can't seem to get them involved. There's a time and place, I guess, for different waves of assistance. And so I'd like to be able to move forward with many good ideas that we have. And I just want to know how to reach out, who I should talk to. So maybe you can talk amongst yourselves and just get back to us. We meet on Tuesday night as a committee, our regular monthly meeting. And I'll just let them know that I reached out and that we've got some good ideas. We've got some enthusiasm. We've got a new member coming on board, a millennial, very exciting. And so we'll be a committee of 7. And this is good for the planet. It's good for Oak Hills Park. It's good for our community. It's good for our pollinators. It's all good. So thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. And I do think we need to do a better job of staying, on our end. So I know Darius has got my contact information. Definitely pass along. I'd like to be invited to the, even if it's just a fly on the wall.
That would be wonderful. Love to have you. All are welcome.
Very interested. Okay. So
thank you. Well, I'll sign off so that you can continue on, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us.
Say hello to everyone.
See you on Tuesday.
Okay,
See you on Tuesday. I'll forward you the stuff, Mike.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it, Darius.
good night.
Good night.
All right.
Right.
All right. Restaurant, halfway house. Babar, what do we got? Anything good? We solve everything? We're good?
Oh man, not in 2020. I did meet with Joe yesterday. We had a very long conversation. The most pressing thing right now was, I brought it up in meetings before, that we should shut down for a few months. He is on board to do that. He does think business will be slow enough this year that it's not worth being open beyond his lease, which is end of October. And then we would open, I guess, or whenever next season starts, or, you know, whatever we work out. I'm guessing this is going to be one of those things that gets discussed in a lot more detail at the big meeting Carl's been talking about. Because I've had a lot of conversations with him when we meet one-on-one about the restaurant. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details. But the closing was something Joe was not a big fan of earlier. Now he seems to be okay with it. So I'm not sure if we're going to have to vote on those things. We can figure that out later. He did do a poll, but it was done through Facebook. Those tend to be a little, they're not scientific whatsoever.
No.
You know, most people who are following you are, chances are they have a positive, you know, who follows someone? Well, I guess the trolls do, but most people don't follow someone that they don't like. But even in that regard, his feedback actually wasn't as positive as I would have expected it to be.
Can't even get your friends to vote for you.
So it was kind of disappointing, but you know, he's trying, he made the effort, he got feedback on various things. I don't know if any of you have been to the special events. I still haven't. I'm going to try to go this weekend. He does them 3 days a week now. I know it was an issue in the beginning. Now it hasn't been a problem. He seems to be following protocol. No complaints that I'm aware of. You know, if those are one of the strong points, if it brings people in, I say good for him. Whatever brings more people to the park, raises awareness. If they're not golfers, they're golfers. It's all good. So that's also something I think we'll discuss in more detail at the big meeting, because we held him back a little. I think if he's going to do it regularly, we should do it in a more organized way. We should market it more, maybe help him with that, you know, with our partnerships with the town or through our committees, the advertisement or sales department, whatever that ends up being. And I think that's most of it. The sales numbers I've been trying to get him to share with us, partially because it tells us how someone's doing that we have installed in there. If someone's in there whose sales are decreasing every year, that's not a good sign. I think it's something the park should be aware of. If, you know, Paul's program is similar, you know, but he seems to be doing well. We haven't had issues. With the restaurant, we've had issues. So I think it is something we should keep an eye on. We want someone in there that raises sales every year, brings in more people. It's good for him, it's good for the park. He doesn't feel comfortable, you know, we're getting closer to it. I would think in our bigger meeting, we should put something in a future contract that requires whoever runs the restaurant to share their financial information with the Oak Hills Park Authority. I think that's not too much to ask for. I'm sorry, was someone saying something?
I apologize. I was just agreeing with you 100%, Babar. Yes.
Okay, so I know you had mentioned
I agree
that
as well.
maybe it is in the contract. Joe is saying it's not. It really doesn't matter for now. This season's pretty much done. But for next season, you know, some of these requirements, like the awnings is still an ongoing issue. It's been months. I talked to Paul about that. I think the blinds might be the right way to go. Again, I don't know if that's something we need to have a bigger discussion about, or I'm sure Carl is going to want to be involved, Paul and so forth, or a smaller group of people can meet about that. but the awnings seem like a very expensive option right now. This is going to keep happening again and again. If the person running the restaurant is not in charge of those awnings, they're not going to care about them. They're not going to roll them up when there's a storm coming. If we make it their responsibility, which we can maybe in a future contract, but then again, we're putting a big expense on the next tenant or on Joe if he sticks around. I think the best way is to just remove the awnings and put in blinds. I think Paul had mentioned that in an email as well. If you want to give in your thoughts right now, that's fine with me. I think that's an issue we should resolve soon.
Yeah, I think maybe we can get through the next month or two with the way they are and wait. Blinds might be good. The guy, I met him here. He's a local, plays golf here. He gave us a quote for $25,000 for 6 of them.
Do you mind if I interject here?
Sure.
So I did a little research on it, just a little internet, that kind of thing. And I found a lot of awnings, the rollout type, and they really, I wouldn't know the difference in quality between $300 awnings and $3,000 awnings, okay? But there are a ton of rollout awnings on the internet, Wayfair, so on and so forth, between $200 and $400 each, between 8 and 10 feet. Wow. And the fabric on those is 9 feet wide, so I would imagine that the actual awnings approach 10 feet. I don't know. I didn't go into a detailed search, but I do think it's possible for a reasonable number. I just don't know if that's the route we want to go, because if they're the same thing that's there, which they look like, they very much look like the same thing that's there, then they're fairly cheap, even though they've lasted 15 years,
I think the issue that came up was that I think, Paul, I think you had mentioned it, that part of the building, apparently the awnings just haven't been put up right, or it's just not made to hold awnings. Was that what it was, Paul?
I think the original guys didn't do a good enough job really bolting them into a firm structure. They just put it into the face.
Correct.
And it just,
correct.
And it just didn't. They didn't do a good job from the beginning.
The structure of the roof, the part that holds the roof up, is made up of trusses, and the trusses aren't regularly spaced, so it's a little bit harder to find where the solid anchor points are for the awnings. But all it takes is a little investigative work, and once you find those, then they are in there solid. It's not rocket science. It's just taking the time to do it right. That's all.
It just needs a better anchor.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I think we can wait a little on those.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So you think we can put it off until the start of next season, or like right before next season?
Or we look into it this fall here and try to get something done for the start of next year?
Yeah, no, I think that the winter is the time to do it. Yep.
I want to tell you this, though. I think Halfway House is doing really well, probably better than anyone would imagine. And a lot of people just don't want to come inside. Rianne and I are here a lot. We've seen a lot of the music. We've eaten a lot of the food. Food's pretty decent. I think some of the people need to be trained as far as being a waiter or waitress. A little better, I guess. But
I did discuss that with him. The few times I've been there, his servers are lifeless. I told him that straight up. It was just standing out way too much for me not to mention it. I couldn't live with myself.
I made a list one night, and there was 7 things, and they were all simple things. But like you got to teach someone how to play golf. You got to teach someone how to be a waiter.
Yeah.
No, this is, I think, at the bigger meeting, there's a lot of detail to some of this restaurant stuff that we're not going to get into today. But I think one of the problems is he's not a food background guy. He has a partner who's not a food background guy. And that is really, so they just either he needs to hire someone, or whoever comes in needs to have someone. That's their responsibility, not ours, unless, in the future we'd want to run the restaurant ourselves, or the park wants to, whatever. But that's, again, a discussion for another day. But he seems to be aware of the issues, which is good. I just don't know if obviously this year is done. He needs someone more like, I don't mind being a little bit more hands-on with him. I have some time right now, but I'm gonna come and go. It shouldn't be the authorities' business to do that as a hands-on thing right now, or in the future. But it feels like if Joe, the way he is now, he needs either constant feedback or someone, like, I don't know if that falls under Paul because you're general manager. Like, I'm not sure, he's part of the operations at the park. Someone, this server thing or feedback or how he's doing, I feel like we just need to be, someone needs to be keeping more of an eye on it. It seems like.
I mean, I have a good relationship with them, and I'd be willing to. I know enough about food to show someone how to be a good waiter or waitress. And I could even maybe
or at least point out the shortcomings right away.
Just about being consistent. Do you feel that they need a new orientation?
Yeah, I think any server, you need training. They need definitely some training, and you got to be attentive. You got to have eyes. You got to read the room, look around, see what's missing.
I think that's the problem with a lot of his servers is like when people are out on the deck, I mean, they're all walking around and they're not paying attention. Like when somebody's done, if they need a new drink, if they're like, they don't continue to go up to people and ask like, is everything okay? They just kind of like leave you there.
It's just even something as small as there's apparently a music system. I've seen like the main system, but he doesn't know how to run it. And it's nice to have a little music on the patio just as background, whatever. Creates a little bit of an atmosphere, even if it's just a few people sitting there. These are the things that, when I talked to him about the music system, it almost seemed like, it's not really his responsibility. He didn't sound like he was going to get it fixed. So I was just left standing there like, all right, so I got to run this by the authority now too, that, who's going to get this sound system up and running. It just seemed, I don't want to micromanage like that, but some of these things either have to be written in somewhere. So there's a checklist where these people are, whoever runs that place has to make sure certain things are getting done. That's I think we're just going to have to spell it out more and more, and we can do that. I don't think that's a problem. We just have to decide what those things are in the future.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up, and this is a definite thought. There's, we could put golf simulators in there and keep it open in the winter and book leagues just like bowling alleys do. We could even use our tee sheet right here in the golf shop and have people come at 5, 7, and 9 o'clock and they play 18 holes. So obviously those things are expensive. We might be able to lease them. Maybe we could buy some used ones. But I would say that would be about the only chance of keeping that place open in the winter.
Are we talking about the restaurant now?
Yeah, or a winter. It doesn't have to be this winter, but I'm fairly sure, and I have friends who do this. You put 2 simulators in there and you would get a lot of people.
Carl and I talked about it. I think that's the way to go. I think it would be awesome on so many levels.
Be great.
I think it would be great.
Couch, couple chairs, music,
So that's what I told him, if his live events go well, the musical events are going well, focus on that, make your menu smaller. But again, this season is wrapping up, next season we can recommend some of these changes for the next guy. Yeah, but he does admit that drinking is a bigger part of his business than in dining.
Any business.
Any restaurant like that, yeah.
Well, for him especially, like he doesn't need those 20 dining tables inside. We can make it, if we can make it a kick-ass bar and grill, like some of the ideas you guys are saying, I think that's a whole different kind of appeal. It could bring in new people, and it expands his base as well. Or whoever is there, it's going to expand it's good for everybody.
I'm with you. I think it'll fit the typical golfer as well. You know, it's not.
I mean, if we had simulators in there, you could charge $100 for a 2-hour slot, at least 25
Oh,
bucks.
yeah.
Play 18 holes during the winter, and it's a league. They got to commit to every Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
You will get that. You'll fill that, I'm sure. So
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
so that's something we don't even need. That's something I think we might even be able to do on our own without involved. If the food and drink is not involved, because Carl did want to divide up the dining room, this, that. Again, discussions for another day. I think we can wrap up the restaurant stuff for now, unless anyone has any questions.
no, I think this needs to be something we talk about at that large meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any else pressing questions?
I do want to say, though, that the wait staff is a very important part of the restaurant, and it really will have people not want to come back when they don't have a nice service with their meal and things aren't attended to. So I know that in the past, last summer, there's a group of people we would go there a few times, and they wouldn't go back after a while because the staff was just really not attentive, and they just, made a lot of errors, and so they felt like it wasn't worth giving it another shot. So it's, and I felt bad because I thought, I was trying to promote the restaurant.
And don't forget, we're surrounded by Rowayton, Darien, New Canaan, Wilton. These people go to good restaurants and they go to nice
Sounds
clubs.
like great restaurants with lots of good service. So when they
know.
go there, they expect the same. So.
Agreed. All right, cool. Darius, anything going on in the marketing sales side of things?
No, I've had some conversations with with what's his name, Brian and Carl, and we've met and we are planning to meet again. And so
Okay.
by the next meeting, we should have an update.
Cool. In terms of events and outings, Carl, rightly so, kind of called me to task a little bit that, Newark Chamber of Commerce has their tournament coming up. It's at Silvermine in October. So the question was, why didn't we try to get it? I'm actually on the board of directors for the chamber, but the problem is Silvermine is one of the members, and I think they've just always been doing it. So by the time it got scheduled, I was a little too late to the party on that. So I'll continue to work on that. I have talked to the folks that normally run the Norwalk High golf outing, football golf outing, and I think that we're going to get them back next year. I have a really strong sense of that, which I think is important. It's a local, thing. So I think, we just got to, maybe at that large meeting too, just any tournaments that you hear in Fairfield County, let's just try to get them all down on a list. I think it comes down to sales. Like I'll call any of them, who's ever organizing, and say, how come you haven't looked at Oak Hills? I think we try to make an effort. And I know, Paul, I'm going to lean on you too, because I don't want to bring in things that don't make sense, But I think for 2021, I think, we need to make sure that at a minimum, we're top of mind. Like anybody that's doing a tournament is at least taking a look at Oak Hills to do that. And then, I talked to Ed over the off season about maybe doing a league, weekly league, which I think would be helpful. So that'd be another thing that committee would look at. Obviously, we're not doing anything this year, but just things to talk about as we approach that large meeting.
One thing I think I know I could do, and I've already talked to 2 of my friends, but I know a lot of the pros in this whole area, and I'm just going to call them up, plain and simple. Any outing that you guys don't want, send it our way. And we also have a good price point. A lot of the outings at all these other clubs I would guarantee they're $200 and up. So a lot of people don't want to pay that. And I think, we can get some help from our neighbors to, facilitate some outings in our direction. And I'd like to see down the road, an outing almost every Monday. I mean, we could have 25 of them.
Yeah, I looked at the bylaws and it's something crazy. Like it's up to 50 events or something. So we'll never hit that. So we don't have to worry about that. One of the things that, especially the Norwalk High golf folks were wondering, they always have it on a Wednesday. And that was always a sticking point. So we don't have to talk about it now, but do we feel flexible enough where we can offer it on a non-Monday,
Yeah, we're doing one this year already. I think Piedmont during the week. There might even be one other. And there's certain situations where we could do double shotguns. we're not really allowed to do shotguns now. We might do one in October. We have to keep everybody separate. Group of 50 on the left, and the group of 50 on the right. But you could start a shotgun at 1 o'clock and let the public play at 8. And then there's a big transition there.
Yep. So we can get
We've done
creative.
that in the past. It's worked.
All right, cool. Anyone volunteering to serve on the finance committee? Show of hands. We're smiling. Anybody want to serve on that?
I mean, I don't mind.
Right on it.
But I would like to be with, is it with you, Mark? Is that who is so
It
far?
would be Joe Andrasco and myself would be on it as well. Yes.
Okay. Sure. I
Cool.
would volunteer.
Welcome.
Welcome.
you.
Put that in the minutes.
That was easy.
That was easy. See that? And then I guess lastly, before we adjourn, we've been going back and forth about the, member attendance and what we can do about that. And I guess it isn't under our jurisdiction that we can remove somebody that we feel is not helping out and not attending meetings. I don't think we need to take that vote now. Definitely would not want to do that without Carl here. But does everybody kind of understand what we're talking about here, what we're discussing? Everybody understand that we do have the ability to do that? It's been cleared by the mayor. He seems to be okay and understand the rules as well. I mean, it's a big deal because we're already missing somebody now. So that would bring us down to 7. And I've been asking for an update about when we're going to fill that position that's now been open for a couple of months. And have not got an answer on that. So it is something to consider. That being said, if somebody's not coming, it doesn't really matter whether we have 7 or 8. So.
I think
But what is there like an exact number? Like how many meetings does someone have to miss, or how many votes do we need to remove someone?
It's very vague. It's it doesn't have that. It's just if we feel, and there's cause for, whatever behavior or something like that, but it's also basically just non-involvement. It's very vague. So it's not like you've missed a couple of months. You can come in and go to one meeting and not show up for another 10 months. It's made to be, I think, pretty vague. Although I try to research. I don't know that it's ever happened that somebody's been removed. So we don't have a lot of, precedence for this.
But it is something we'd have to take a vote on.
Yeah.
And has that person
Yes.
just been emailed the monthly invitation to come to the meeting, but he just doesn't ever respond and he hasn't been a part of anything? Is that what you're saying? That this person he doesn't respond, nobody knows where he is, and nobody knows what's going on with him?
Yeah.
Correct. And
Are you presently looking for candidates though, right?
Yes.
yes,
You are looking. So there's people who I've heard that here, and I have one young man, and he's good. He's got a great resume. I think I gave it to Rianne. But and he'd be right up your alley for a finance committee. Georgetown graduate.
Yeah, we've got a bunch. I mean, the problem is we genuinely don't have any say. We could make recommendations, and it ultimately goes to the mayor, and then the council. The last one I submitted was 3 months ago. I sent it to the city clerk. I never even heard back. Not even an acceptance. So yeah, any resume we should be submitting and promoting and talking as a group. Ultimately, I don't know how much say we have.
So really? So there's not much say on who you would like to have here? It's all...
I've submitted 2 resumes and never even got an acknowledgement of receipt on those emails to Donna King. So
Interesting.
yeah, so I don't know. That's how Carl told me to proceed with it. I did that. I haven't heard anything. So that is what it is. And I have many more. So I guess we'll think about it. I'll send an email highlighting that portion of the bylaws that says exactly what, the authority can do in terms of removal. It's very brief and very broad, but
it was very vague because Carl passed it on to me that one day. So basically,
I actually have I have the bylaws right in front of me, but if you want to continue, Rayanne.
I mean, it's very vague, but I just feel like we need to do something about the issue because this person has not been in attendance for, this is actually his 8th meeting that he's missed in a row.
Wow.
So it says according to Article 2, Section 3, for removal, members may be removed for neglect of duty, malfeasance in office, or in accordance with Section 5 of this article, as specified in Chapter 73 of the Code of Use of the City of Norwalk. And then as you go to attendance, it says any member with 4 absences in 1 year period will be required to meet with the policy committee to determine if the member will continue serving. If a consensus cannot be reached, refer to Article 2, Section 3, which then goes to a vote.
Okay, so it even does have it, not that it's set in stone, but yeah, at 4 meetings, it looks like you start to address it. Yeah.
Yeah, so 4 months ago, huh?
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Let's take care of it at the big meeting.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else or?
Anybody else anything before we adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
I seconded.
All right.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
So
everyone.
moved.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.
Thank you.